and my Zoom, because what I have found with the way I present is that my recording, my audio is very, very, very slow in comparison with what I'm presenting when it's Zoom out of OBS. So I press record both places. And with that, we're going to get started. So today's session is What's New in the World of Video Conferencing Content Provider Sessions. And that's kind of a long title. But video conferencing and content provider sessions have been around for a long time. In fact, when I came to the ESC in 1990, or I came to the ESC in 2005, after working with the ESC since 1999 through video conferencing initiatives. So as we go through, I am going to remind Rebecca to go ahead and fill out the attendance form. It is a little different. So if you want to scan that QR code, if you need the link, I can send it to you as well. What we've done since our last series was we have if myself or Wendy Hanaski is presenting, we've automated this. So when you fill out the form, it's going to automatically send your form instead of waiting on one of us to trigger that. So we did update our Google Attendance form just a hair. And of course, if you're joining this after the fact or you're watching the recording, don't forget to do the Google Attendance form in order to get your contact hour. But also, you want to join the same Google Classroom that we have had. So the content that is there previously will still be there. All new video conferencing sessions will be in this Google Classroom. And Rebecca just said she brought up my first year at the ITC was the launch of the IVDL grant from SchoolNet. And I was still in a district, Rebecca, and those grants were gold. When we got that first equipment from that SchoolNet grant, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I immediately saw how it was going to open up my kids' worlds. So yeah, we go way back. So this is the Google Classroom join code. If you're watching this, make sure that you use a personal Gmail account when you join the Google Classroom. With the domain sharing, it just doesn't always play nicely in the sandbox. So as you're putting that join code in, you do want to use a personal Gmail account to have the most success. So content provider sessions allow specialists from around the globe to join your classroom and provide academically rich content. And with that, I would like to welcome our guest, Tom Miller, from the Cleveland Clinic. He is going to be sharing with us some of the content that they provide as a way to show you what content looks like today and some of the offerings available to you into your classrooms. So, Tom, I'm going to mute and let you take over.
Great. Welcome. And again, I'm happy to be here today. My name is Tom Miller. I work at Cleveland Clinic, and I am a connected learning manager. Also today, I think I'm going to give you a little bit overview of a bigger organization. Well, Cleveland Clinic's pretty big, but the Ohio Distance Learning Association as well. So I'm going to give you kind of a blend of the two. And I'll start with the content that we do at Cleveland Clinic. And we're one of the many content providers in Ohio. And if you don't know, the wonder that is online learning in Ohio, especially for content, and I'll hit more about the content providers in the Ohio Distance Learning Association, but we are one of the best states. I mean, I've been around in this business a long time, and I've seen content. And if you think of all the different providers in Ohio, Cleveland Clinic is very, very happy to be part of this wonderful elite team. So Cleveland Clinic's been doing connected learning since 2005. So your IVR, SchoolNet reference. I wasn't around then, but I know that we started out in the Polycom world and had to use bridges, and we really appreciated our friends down at BEMC who would help us get all that set up. But we were kind of untethered when a couple of years ago we really pushed into the idea that the teacher, all they needed was basically a computer and some kind of a connection to the internet, and we could bring our content into the classroom. So we have several programs at Cleveland Clinic that take advantage of connected learning, we call it. So online learning or distance learning, you want whatever you want to call it. And the goal of it is to be highly interactive with the students, but also then to give them an insight into the clinic that they may not get from the standard perception for most students is I'm not going to be a doctor, I'm not going to be a nurse, so there must not be anything for me to do in healthcare. And we're really trying to change that dynamic and give them a really good understanding of the teams that we have at Cleveland Clinic that are essential to providing care, but that we are also a small nation state in that Cleveland Clinic has 50,000 employees and we're an international organization. And if you think of any of the job families or any of the career clusters in that are being taught in schools right now, Cleveland Clinic has a job in every area. The only one I don't think we technically have one in is military service, but otherwise, information technology, agriculture. We have a music therapy department. So, like, if you're interested in careers, you probably can find a career at Cleveland Clinic. We have our own police force. I'm a middle school teacher. I work at Cleveland Clinic and do education programs. So we really have quite a variety of different opportunities for students. So the Connected Career Rounds program shares that. And the way that we facilitate the program is, again, it's teachers in classrooms, and they're sharing this either on their smart board or on a projector or a TV of some sort, and it's a live experience for the students. So cameras on, students can ask questions. We do a series of online polls. These are anything that the student can use a tablet or their own cell phone, or if they have a Chromebook or device, so that they can both answer some questions so we can kind of figure out what they know about the topic. And then also we use it as a way that they can ask questions. And we found that students really are good at asking questions, especially if it can be kind of at their own pace. They don't have to get on camera. But we do have students that ask questions on camera live. So the topics range from, again, it's a career team talking about their experiences in dealing with a health issue. So we've had some topical ones. Obviously, vaping has been a very big topic, and we brought in the respiratory therapy team to talk about their experiences with patients that are using vaping technologies and all of the issues that are associated. So they're going through X-rays. They're explaining what the patient's care path is, how they actually treat the patients, all the different issues that are resulting from the overuse of vaping, and also the chemicals and things that are in the vaping pens. And then they also talked about their career journey. So how do you become a respiratory therapist? What are the jobs that are available? You can actually be a respiratory therapist assistant right out of high school, start training, get your certificates, go into an associate's degree. So we give both sides of it, the health aspect and also the career aspect. Our most popular sessions are surgeons. We do a heart surgery where the surgeon is actually narrating over video. Years ago, we actually did it live, but there's been there's legal issues involved with that. So we use a video, and you can tell right away whether there's students that are fascinated. You can see them getting closer and closer to the camera, or you can see the students that put their heads down because it takes a while to get used to the blood and the insides of people. So the surgeon again is talking not only about the surgery, but also all of the different care that all the team that helps support the surgeon as they do their job. And there's scrub techs, and there are sterile processing teams, and there are anesthetists, and all kinds of different assistants and things that are supporting that. And the person that checks the patient in, and we actually walk the students through an entire OR experience. Which was fascinating. And again, I'm from the middle school arena, and every time I do a session with clinicians, I'm just amazed because of all the work that they do. So this is a free program that we run. We run it on generally on a Tuesday afternoon around 1 o'clock. The enrollment is a really simple process. Teachers enroll, which gives us their email address so that then we can send them a Zoom invite and then they can join. We also record the sessions. So to extend the learning, and this is something that we responded to teachers' requests, we have created an online on-demand gallery. So the students can go in and view the sessions asynchronously. They could do it in their classroom, they could do it at home. So this is something that the teacher could use as a homework assignment or something that they can use as an experience in the classroom, and then they can pause and do their own dialogue. So, if you're talking about specific issues, we had a whole thing on around food allergy rounds. And that was, all the different issues with food allergies, but also talking about anaphylactic shock and what do you do in that situation, and is your school prepared for that situation? And so it could be something that buds into a class project, that could be a research project, could be something that they do a survey, or and we have a best practices guide that we provide to teachers, so you can use it kind of on your own pieces and parts. I assume that they'll fast forward through some things and focus in on others. And the on-demand gallery gives us that opportunity then to extend the learning in the classroom. So that's that's the real core of what we do. We still have two more sessions coming up in April. One is on diabetes, and the other is on pharmacy rounds. And the pharmacy rounds, again, is also showing non-clinical roles. So we have some analysts, some IT positions in there, as well as pharmacy assistants, and then a pharmacist. And actually, Crystal, who's right there pointing, has been doing our sessions for years. She's the pharmacist that will be promote or featured in that session. So that's our connected career rounds, and the link, if you just go to clevelandclinic.org K-12, all the information is there on the session. Really easy to sign up and get exposure. If you can't be live with at the session at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, you'll get an invite after the session. It's usually 3 days after the session, with a link to the on-demand gallery access. And right now, all the sessions that we have conducted since September 2021 are all available. So if you wanted to go back and do vaping, you want to go back and do any of the sessions, you can have your students can access that at home, or you can access that in the classroom. So, but in terms of being a content provider, I just want to kind of touch on that. We at Cleveland Clinic really have strived to get away from a talking head PowerPoint presentation, which was the standard, and it was that was the era, that was the time. But we do transition quite a bit. We try to blend both the caregiver talking, but also telling stories, which obviously stories are way more engaging than bullet points about how many jobs are going to be available in respiratory therapy in 2026. Although we do give that information out as well. But so the in this new world that we have, which is connected learning, which is leveraging the ability for students to interact with chat, interact with polls, interact with at some point, we'd love to be in breakouts rooms so that the students could get specific with the different caregivers. Something we would explore, although it's kind of challenging because right now we're still doing at least the live sessions are one to many. There's lots of students in a classroom as opposed to on an individual device, but those are things that we're exploring. And again, because Ohio is just super rich with content providers, you'll be surprised and shocked at all the different ways that they are leveraging this technology now. And so it is definitely way past the talking head PowerPoint, hour and a half long, and then the students are zoned out after 10 minutes. So we try to be engaging. The other thing I'll just do quick, and this is again in the same realm because of COVID. Which mouse am I using? We did switch our internship program for 2020 and actually this coming summer into a virtual internship program. Although now it's actually slipping a little bit. It's going to be hybrid, and it depends on the student's engagement with their mentor as to where they will either have a responsibility of being completely remote or some level of being on site. Obviously, some of our programs, if you're working in public safety, if you're working in with our police force, you're working with patient transportation, you can't do that job remotely. So we will be bringing students in to the clinic. But the virtual internship program, very successful. If you're in Cuyahoga Lake, Lorain, Medina, or Summit counties, students are eligible to participate. And that would, again, be a hybrid experience depending on their mentor. And if they're interested in non-clinical roles, our Lewis Stokes program, which is named after former Senator Lewis Stokes, who was passionate about getting kids into careers, that program would be is available to students that live in Cleveland, East Cleveland, and Warrensville Heights. So that's a little bit of information there, and it's actually right now we are promoting the program. The application is open, and those are going to be available. If you can share this with your students, if they're interested in having an internship, it's a paid internship at Cleveland Clinic, 8 weeks during the summer. Wonderful experience. We have students who come back year after year, and that's for high schoolers. So those are the two kind of big things that I wanted to share about Cleveland Clinic. And I can pause if you have any questions. If you want to ask anything.
How do we access the past recordings?
So if you enroll, the minute you enroll, we send you a link. And that link will take you to basically the on-demand gallery and give you information about upcoming sessions as well.
Thank you.
Well, let me then shift gears here a little bit, and I'll put on a new hat and quickly say that, hi, I'm Tom Miller. I'm also the chair of the Professional Development Committee for the Ohio Distance Learning Association. And, I was gushing at the beginning about it, and I'll gush again. Ohio has some of the best content providers in the world. And a lot of times we are rock stars in other states, but nobody knows about us in Ohio. And so my Connected Career Rounds at Cleveland Clinic has a huge following in New York and Pennsylvania and Illinois. And in some ways they are always on, and they're very, very, very engaged with what I do. And yet I can't get a school district that's a mile away from Cleveland Clinic to join a session. So help us promote internally Ohio's amazing content providers. And the Ohio Distance Learning Association, I'll give you a really quick overview. If you don't understand, was designed and created to promote distance learning. So anything that's related to, and again, going back to the years where it was a point-to-point, or it's evolved, and we have great partnerships all across the state, and really promoting, and I'll give you the kind of the big highlights. If you're a member of an ITC or ESC, you're now a member of Ohio Distance Learning Association because they all have joined. So the resources that are available to all members for the Ohio Distance Learning Association, if any one of these you recognize, you're a part of the Ohio Distance Learning Association and can get information and participate in activities and professional development, and have access to content providers, some of which give discounts to Ohio Distance Learning Association members, or like my programming is free, so you get it for free. And here's our content providers, just a snippet of all the people that are involved. And the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, award-winning programming, most entertaining person in the world is Lee Gamble. And if you can do any program with her, your kids are going to laugh and they're going to learn a ton. Like, the stuff that's in her head's amazing. The Pro Football Hall of Fame has programming all year long, really great, especially in the career space, and very realistic about the number of students that want to be a professional football player versus how many become a professional football player. But yet there's, similar to Cleveland Clinic, hundreds of jobs in professional football. And so if you're interested in being a trainer, or you're interested in selling tickets, you're interested in, being in marketing, there's jobs for everybody there. And I could go on and you probably recognize a few of the other ones up here. But the Columbus Zoo, COSI, Cleveland Museum of Art, all have wonderful programming. Ohio History Connection is doing great stuff as well. So, and like I said, the Ohio Distance Learning Association content providers offer, some things are free, some things are at a cost. Some of them are appointment, like you can schedule it because your class starts at 1:26 on a Wednesday. You can actually work with them, and that would give them, you can get it specific for your class. Others, like my programming, it's kind of like you have to be there at 1:00. So there's a blend, and everybody's a little different. But most of the content providers will work with you to figure out how you can get to their resources. And I just did us. There's also this cool thing called Remote edX, and Ohio Distance Learning Association applied and was awarded a grant that would subsidize and or pay for experiences from these seven content providers. So if you didn't have funding at your school, but you still wanted to do a program, with the Ohio, with Columbus Zoo, there's money there. It's sitting there, it's waiting for you. So please go use it. And we can transact how to get that information if you go to our Ohio Distance Learning Association website. So there's basically a subsidy that allows you to access these content providers' content. And the other couple just other things that we do with Ohio Distance Learning, we do a variety of different collaborations during the school year. I know that Michelle and I both read stories at the holiday period to schools, and we had schools and homeschoolers and all kinds, just they're there and they got to interact with us, and we read lots of stories. Read Around the Planet's a big program. The Monster Match is really cool, where students in classrooms are challenging each other to, one's describing what the monster should look like, and then they show what they drew, and the kids are just super excited about that. So a variety of different collaborations that are facilitated, and I think all of them are free, right, Michelle?
They are.
There isn't any cost
Yeah.
to these.
Any of the
this is what the
collaborations
Ohio
are
Distance
just
Learning Association does and promotes them.
Yep.
Some of them are national programs, some are local programs. And we also do a variety of professional development events during the year. Like we always have a content provider showcase, which just highlights all the wonderful stuff that everybody's doing in Ohio. And also we brought in experts. We brought in CLIC. I think Michelle's gonna talk about them. We brought in, how do you use Google Classroom better? We've recruited teachers to do professional development, and all of our professional development's recorded and on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested, you just want to go and take a look, it's right there. And the other cool thing, I know I told you that everybody that's a member of ESC or ITC is free, but also we have an associate member opportunity, which is also free. So that gets you access to our listserv, and which means you'll get information about all the programming that's going on, and you're also invited to attend our meetings if you have ideas about distance learning or you want to get involved. It's a great way to get information about the Ohio Distance Learning Association, and also to get involved. And there's a QR code if you want to become a member right now. You go and do it. It's give us your email and give us your name, and you're an associate member. So questions about Ohio Distance Learning Association? I went really fast. So.
Does anyone, Michelle or yourself, know how much longer will Remote edX be able to supplement the pay-for item resources, those 6?
So that is a topic of discussion. We had Ohio DLA board meeting last night, and I'm currently on the board. The grant originally runs out June 30. Remote edX funding hasn't renewed, but it will be renewing. So it's kind of a twofold flux. We here at this Educational Service Center also have a large Remote X grant. This is where these sessions come from. And so we have the same question. Is there going to be funding? Is it going to be extended or application renewal based? And current projects, will they extend till the funds run out, or will we apply for an extension? So the Ohio DLA grant is going to have that same question. One of our partners, Soida, is actually fiscaling our Ohio DLA grant. So the board reached out last night to Deb to see how much money has already been consumed out of what was allocated. So we have a better idea of how much we're going to be looking at potentially asking to carry forward to the start of the next school year. So we'll have those answers. We're not sure how soon, but we know that it is funded through the end of this school year. Anything that you book from those 7 providers, as long as there's still funds available, and there are, will be able to be honored through the end of your current school year, because it doesn't run out for now until June 30.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about Cleveland Clinic's connected learning programs, as well as the Ohio Distance Learning Association. Unless I'll hand it to Michelle.
Thanks so much for joining us, Tom. I really appreciate that. It's very exciting to still be involved with the distance learning realm all these years later. And it's fun and intriguing that, there's veterans and people that have come about later, but we're still such a close-knit group. So the next part of this is just going to kind of go back a little bit, not knowing who was attending today or who might consume this after the fact, long ago in the world of video conferencing. And if you look closely at that image, that is from the ESC photo archives from an e-mission from the Challenger Learning Center in West Virginia from the year 2000. And the reason I know it's 2000 is because I recognize I had 2 of those students in elementary school. So I knew where they were in terms of, so this was an e-mission from this Educational Service Center at our old office in the year 2000 on the original small cart Polycoms with an ATM connection and those Challenger e-missions. And this particular one, they must have failed because at one point in some of the photographs, there's a big, on the marker board, it said run, and the evacuation team had written it. So they apparently did not properly use the data to escape the coming. I think it almost had to have been Operation Montserrat, based on the evacuation team. But anyhow, we dialed a number, we rolled in the old cart, we waited for a great connection, and we shared specialized content. Today, we can connect to content specialists around the globe. We can connect from our own classrooms. We can share, like Tom said, one-to-many, and we can be sharing at the same time with our at-home learners. And we can connect using literally an unlimited variety of devices. How can you find content? So first, contact your Educational Service Center to see if they provide video support services. Not all Educational Service Centers kept a video support service. We did. East Central Ohio ESC, that's my job when I'm not doing this. I am the video support person. Muskingum Valley ESC, Leslie Charles, is the video support person. But not all ESCs still have a segment of a department that's still supporting video for their districts, but they'll route you to those people who might be. Reach out to Ohio DLA. Let one of us, who are a member of the Ohio DLA team, kind of guide you for assistance and direction. Use CILC to discover content providers. And if you like to do just traditional Google research, Google museums or other specialists to see if they have virtual content available. So I'm going to take you through CILC. So CILC is a free website. Now, as a video conferencing support person, I'm scheduling from CILC on behalf of my member school districts. We have about 43 member school districts using video support services. So when one of my member districts asks me, for example, Cleveland Museum of Natural History, they wanted Balto. I'll show you that in a second. I had to schedule 8 of those last week. I go into CILC. They are using the Ohio DLA grant. I still make my schedule request through CILC. I book that on behalf of my school districts. They connect on the day and the time. You don't have to have someone doing that for you, but using CILC for you to research is free. If you want to schedule something from CILC, you will have to sign up and request a PIN, in part so they can ensure that the content provider gets paid after that session is booked. But CILC is essentially one of the largest databases of content provider specialists in the United States. And it's searchable. You can search by content provider. You can search by topic. You can look for collaborations, which are different and almost always free from content provider specialists. And you can just poke around. So if I wanted to, I'm going to click on content providers first. And just to give you an idea, every content provider that pays to use CILC, and content providers, people who have something to share, you become a paid member. And then that's how our sessions are actually promoted or shared. But there's a list of content provider sessions. One of those amazing sessions that still provide cadaver services. They're like Tom. They got out of the live surgery business years ago, but they provide cadaver services. And through their teaching hospital, they use cadaver donations to conduct video conferences on all of these topics. Human brain, the dissection of an eye. That one, I believe the pig eye is shipped, as well as the owl one. I believe they ship part of that too. The anatomy of the human heart. What is an autopsy? The general cadaver. The sheep brain dissection. Sports medicine cadaver. All of these offer a pre-Thanksgiving. So when you book these, and Ames books more heavily in the middle of the year typically. So he offers a discount. If you book before Thanksgiving, it's a little bit cheaper. But when you click on any of these, just as a rule, anything in CILC, if you click on the more, you're going to get the cost, the length of the program, the targeted audience, the directions for booking, the cancellation policy, and the format. So it's going to go over what to expect in each session. This is universal with all content providers. Whoa, I just got blurry. There we go. So that, just as a rule, if you're looking to share this with other educators, if you're looking to show teachers what's available out there, the standards are listed. All of the content providers choose the national standards because state standards do differ from state to state, of course. Then if you're requesting this yourself, each provider, if they're not booking directly at CILC, and it does say, sorry, this program is not currently available, you click to see when it's going to become available again. But when you go then to book or reserve that, it'll walk you through the reservation. Like I said, to actually reserve it, you do have to register. You'll get a free PIN number, and that PIN number is how then you finally reserve these sessions. If you don't have someone like me booking these on your behalf. Another one out of state that's incredibly engaging is the Alaska Sea Life Center. He's one of our friends. He presents for us often. What we like about him, about the Alaska Sea Life Center, in addition to their rich content, their studio
because they are mammals
is in the aquarium.
Air, and that means while they're underwater, they have to hold their breath.
So
just like we have to hold our breath if we put our face into the swimming pool.
no matter what is being taught,
Well, they have to hold their breath the whole time that they're going.
the kids have the aquarium behind them. So now Alaska Sea Life is one of those content providers that we have to look at the time zone differences to be able to book them effectively. And he's very flexible. They do, typically we can get him in that later afternoon hours when it's requested. And again, so if we wanted to know more about marine mammal adaptations, this is a provider. The cost, of course, is listed, what grade levels, how they connect. Now here, this one is able to be booked, but it says it's only available after 7 a.m. Alaska time, which is 11 o'clock a.m. our time. He doesn't like the super early mornings. But just to hit the highlights of some of our Ohio presenters, we're, of course, promoters of Ohio content. I'm an Ohio content provider. I have sessions listed on CILC as well. We know we're good at what we do. And what's nice about it is when you look at some of the Pinnacle Award winners, if I go to my content providers and I click on the Pinnacle Award, that's the highest award CILC offers. And when I scroll down through the Pinnacle Award museum winners year after year, there are people like Ohio History Connection, the Cleveland Museum of Natural Art, the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, the Hall of Fame. Leslie has been on here before at Muskingum Valley ESC. I have been on here depending on the year. So we have strong content providers available, but also content providers who provide a very, very rich, deep offerings of exciting and engaging content for your students. I want to pull up Cleveland Museum of Natural History. Cleveland Museum, if you're not aware or don't remember, Cleveland Museum of Natural History is a newer brand within the last 8 to 10 years probably, that was a mixture of, so Lee Gamble originally presented through Health Space Cleveland, which was the sciences part of what is now the Cleveland Museum of Natural History conglomerate. So they're able then, of course, to use the museum, all of the science. They have several presenters, and they have a wealth of engaging content. They still do Balto. They have human anatomy, climate change. Stuffy is an important one. Lots of our students love Stuffy. They have exploring mammals, using fossils. They have a very, very rich selection of content. And these then are on Ohio DLA, able to be requested for that free funding. For Cleveland Museum of Natural History, I would expect 2 to 3 weeks in terms of requesting a date that's available and then actually getting it. All of the providers I've showed you are what we call on demand. That means that for the most part, as long as they have someone presenting that's available, you pick the date, you pick the time, the provider provides that link and connects to your classrooms live during that time. Occasionally, like Tom's sessions are at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. Those are scheduled offerings. The Football Hall of Fame also does an amazing job with free content. They're forever funded through Extreme Networks and some of their local charitable and philanthropic donations. But theirs sometimes are scheduled, like Heart of a Hall of Famer. When that gentleman is in the Canton area and available, that's the date and the time that he's available. But Hall of Fame also has able to be scheduled sessions. There are authors available in CILC. There are, emotional behavior support specialists have kind of started to come on board at CILC, where they're more of a guest speaker, someone that may have historically come into your school building for a school-wide pep rally field trip kind of thing. You'll see more of that now on CILC than you did previously, but CILC is a great place to start. Like I said, you do have to create that free account now in order to be able to get further into the research. As an ESC member that we provide video support to, we do all of this for them, but it isn't something that you can't do on your own. When we personally at our ESE, when we are managing them, we actually keep their pot of spending money each year, so they don't even have to mess with writing purchase orders. We book the session, we pay the purchase order, and it just gives them, the teacher the ability to schedule and then just wait for that link to happen. But CILC is the biggest arena to find available content for your classrooms. Now there's other opportunities, but like I said, we like CILC the best. When you join as an associate member of Ohio DLA, you'll get emails about upcoming sessions too, predominantly from Ohio content providers, but also the collaborations. We always send those out. Paul Hieronymus, our current chair, just got approached yesterday by Cole Israel, which is, I don't want to say a nursing home. It's a long-term care facility that is predominantly Holocaust survivors. So they've always done a lot with Cole Israel and the Holocaust Memorial Project. So they would like to kind of reach more classrooms. So that's going to be something that the Ohio Distance Learning Association is going to be promoting out through our email listservs and through a newsletter as we learn more about that as well. But the Ohio DLA website is another place for you to be able to stay connected with current content providers. Tom, we've talked about the grant. The grant is here on the homepage of the Ohio Distance Learning Association's website. When you click Learn More, it shows you those members of us that are offering sessions that are covered by the grant, and it gives you the titles and the descriptions of each of the sessions that are available. When you go to request one of those, or your teacher requests one of those, and I am going to stop right here because people may be watching this recording after the fact. Today is March 11th, 2022. This grant is currently available through June 30th, 2022. And it does provide a no-cost option for these typically paid video conferences at this website that are listed here. So if you're watching this after June 30th and you wonder why you can't apply for the free program anymore, the grant may have expired. But we're live today, March 11th, so I wanted to just make sure and kind of put that in as a timestamp. When you're scrolling down through the Ohio DLA website, the content that's offered, like I said, it gives you the description, how long it's going to be, and then which providers are offering which sessions. The form is what you'll click on to be able to request the application to pay for one of these sessions. It just walks through a Google form. It notifies our fiscal of the grant, SOIDA, that a request, it's spinning, that a request has been made. When they approve that funding request, SOIDA sends out a nice little email to whatever content provider is going to provide that session. We, the content provider, say, sure, we can do that on this date and this time. And we teach the class just like we would have with any other connection. Now, are there other questions about finding content? What kind of content is available? What it looks like to your classroom today? All right. Well, I put this, subscribe to our YouTube channel here. The YouTube channel for East Central Ohio ESE is housing all of the recorded content that we are storing as remote edX coaches. So in addition to them being in the Google Classroom, we also have them in the YouTube channel in an ECO ESE library. That's a playlist. So if there's other ESE events or other ESE content, you won't necessarily have to look through that, like our reading festival or our annual Christmas party or something like that. But we have created a playlist for instructional videos for our instructional tech coaches, and that is the link to subscribe to that YouTube channel. If you have other questions about what content providers are out there, please reach out to me or Tom or Ohio Distance Learning Association. We really do pride ourselves in providing content to our state. And I will say the same thing as Tom. I connect to probably 100 classrooms a year in November for pilgrims, and 5 of them are in Ohio. And so our largest customers, our largest consumers of Ohio content are New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, and California. And so, and there's a smattering, of course, of other states, but our Ohio resources are being served up so successfully in other states, and our Ohio schools just either, we're not sure if they're not aware, or they no longer have the access, or through retirement and changing in staff, people have forgotten about this rich resource. But we're hoping that we can revitalize that and get that back out into the hands of our school districts and our teachers, and help show them that it's okay to bring highly qualified guest speakers through this means to your classroom as a way to augment whatever you're already teaching and doing such a great job at. So with that, if there are no other questions, I will end for today. All right, well, I'm going to stop recording. And then